The Paris Agreement requires a massive ramp-up in renewable energy production, and until now, this is where most of the investments have gone. But it also requires an equally ambitious cut in energy usage, which means we need to become much better at utilizing the energy which has already been produced. And this is the side where we believe the money will flow in the next years. What most people don't know is the fact that approximately 50% of the energy produced in the world today is wasted in the form of heat. Now, half of that again is wasted at approximately 120 degrees C or below. Until now, very few technologies have been able to use this and use this energy. But it is in that context we at Viking Heat Engines have spent 9 years and 400 million Norwegian kroner to develop these two products, the CraftEngine and the HeatBooster. Both products can make large contribution towards reducing CO2 emissions. Both products are will save money for the users, and hopefully these two products will also make us into a very profitable company. It has been a very arduous task, I have to say. We have failed miserably and painfully on many occasions. But thanks to Innovation Norway and a bunch of hardcore believing investors, not to mention a great team of professional people, we are finally here to deliver great products. Now, this little piston engine is the core of both our products, and it has been developed in close cooperation with the world's largest engine design company, which is called AVL, based out of Germany. AVL designs engines for all the large car brands. They also design engines for companies like Rolls-Royce, MAN, Wärtsilä, and so on. And they have played an extremely important role in making our product a reliable, a durable, and affordable product which can be mass-produced, tapping into German industry know-how and the production quality, which is usually known by the car industry. This piston engine is what we call our technology platform, and it's a core component in both our products. Inside the CraftEngine, it produces electricity from low-temperature waste heat, and inside our HeatBooster, it lifts low-temperature waste heat back to temperature levels which can be used again. So we're talking about reusing the existing energy. Now, how can these two products make a difference? How can they have an impact on what we are discussing here today? Let's talk about the CraftEngine first. For starters, the world's shipping fleet belches out an incredible 1 billion tons of CO2 every year. A CraftEngine powered by waste heat coming out from the main engine of a ship can save 5% of fuel and thereby also reducing CO2 emissions by 5%. If the whole world's shipping fleet started using our product, we could save in the region of 50 million tons of CO2 in the shipping industry alone. A similar picture can be found here. There are millions and millions of diesel and gas gensets all over the world, and many of them are now running on 24/7 operations to produce electricity to the grid. Also here, the CraftEngine can run on exhaust gas or other waste heat sources from these gensets and produce even more electricity on the same fuel. In this particular example, a 15 megawatt power plant, we could save 7,500 tons of CO2, and the customer would have a payback of 2 years or less. Also, other sources of heat can be used. Biomass waste incineration is one option. Industrial processes is another one. And of course, garbage. Together with TeamTech, a company located in Tvedestrand, we have developed the so-called E-unit, which is a small containerized waste gasification plant which burns or treats 5 tons of garbage per day and which produces 40 kilowatts of electricity. Isn't that nice? You put one of these in refugee camps or in rural areas without access to the grid, or on islands, and you can take care of a local garbage problem at the same time as you provide electricity to the local community. But now let's move on to the heat booster, which is really my personal favorite because of the immense potential it has in terms of energy efficiency and CO2 savings. The heat booster is a very high temperature heat pump. Not unlike the pump that you have in your house, but it can lift the temperature to much, much higher levels. It uses low temperature waste heat as its fuel, and it lifts that back to the temperature which are really required by the industry. The heat booster can lift the temperatures all the way up to 160 degrees. And as far as we know, this is the world record for heat pumps at this time. An amazing amount of industrial processes use heat in some form at temperatures above 100 degrees C, for example, in the food, the paper, the chemical industries, in drying processes, as well as in pasteurizing, distillation, evaporation, preheating, boiling, or even laundering or coloring processes. Today, these companies typically burn gas, oil, or even coal to reach these temperatures. And after the process, the heat is usually wasted at temperatures below 100 degrees C. And what we do with our heat booster is that this machine can reuse the waste heat that comes out of the process, lift it back to the temperature that is needed in the process, and thereby reuse the energy which would otherwise be wasted. And by doing so, you can actually switch off the fossil fuel heaters altogether. So where's the market? Where there are chimneys, there is heat to be recovered. Only in Europe, there is a tremendous potential of 400 terawatt hours of industrial heat available. We can use that heat as our fuel. Toyota is one of the car companies that take this really seriously. Part of their Environmental Challenge 2050 program, one of the targets is to reduce our CO2 emissions by 50% within 2025 and down to zero within 2050. And how will they achieve that? Partly by installing industrial heat pumps, such as the heat booster, in their car paint shops. And this is a typical car paint shop for a plant which produces 150,000 cars per year. In this shop, we can install 20 times 1 megawatt heat boosters and save 43,000 tons of CO2 every year. And since the paint shop represents 50% of the total energy usage at Toyota, there is a potential of 1,300 heat boosters within Toyota alone. This study performed by Delta Energy and Environment concludes that the heat demand within the EU alone in the 100 to 150 degree range, which is covered by the heat booster, is around 220 terawatt hours. If you add the US to that picture, the technical market potential for our product is around 500 terawatt hours, which translates to 100,000 heat boosters. The same study concludes that around 15% of this is practically reachable, which means, again, 15,000 units. Not including the larger markets, which are in China, Japan, Korea, and the rest of the world. This number alone would give us a turnover of 4 billion euro, and it would save 30 million tons of CO2. As of now, May 2018, we entertain business dealings with more than 100 companies in 25 countries around the world. Many of these are large multinationals, such as Toyota, but actually the majority are large and medium-sized companies that wish to distribute our products or combine it with their own products to make their own products better, such as Munters in Sweden. Viking Heat Engines do not really need incentives to be successful. We will succeed anyway with our products. But if the world is going to succeed, In reaching the targets on CO2 emissions, drastic measures will have to be taken, and we are happy to see an increasing political will to do so. With the right distribution partners, enough capital, and an even stronger team, we may just be able to fill our vision, which is to accelerate the world's energy transition towards a sustainable future. Thank you very much.